Yo.
What up, though?
I got to talk. I got to tell what I feel. I got to talk about my life as I see it.
All right, then. It's time for you to bring it to the table.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it.
StreetBeat.
Yeah.
With Tony B.
For the next hour, Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
StreetBeat. StreetBeat. Tony.
What's up? It's me, Tony B, and welcome to this edition of StreetBeat. StreetBeat is your community show that keeps you in touch with the beat of the city. Today, definitely, the beat of the city is the fact that we have a very special guest here in town. You couldn't get a much better beat than this. Mr. Philip Bailey is joining us right here at StreetBeat at the studio.
Yes.
Mr. Bailey, good to have you here.
It's great to be here. I'm honored. Thank you for inviting me.
And also, it's kind of a double treat because your daughter's here as well.
Yes, Trinity Bailey is.
Hey, Trini, how are you?
My assistant and keeps me.
Now, you can see there's a microphone there, so if you happen to get drawn into this conversation, go ahead and pick that mic up. So again, Mr. Bailey is in town for anyone who just may not, for whatever reason, know this gentleman's name on the basis that I'm talking about is Philip Bailey. Everybody knows. One of the original members of Earth, Wind, and Fire and some folks are just young, you know, and some folks are from other countries. And one of the things that we enjoy with this radio station is that we have such a diverse listenership. We have shows in multiple languages, and it's all kind of stuff going on.
Well, it's been almost 50 years for us now. So, you know, like a lot of people are introduced for the first time, and, you know, you have to bring some people up to speed, you know.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, I'm just going to start right there. What happens when you introduce the music that is iconic for some of us, that, again, you know, the soundtracks of our lives, when people experience your music for the first time? What does that do for you when you see what that reaction is, and what is that reaction?
Well, we have fans now from 6 to on up, you know, to our age and older. So yeah, it's fantastic to see that the music has made a difference. You know, Maurice was the founder, for those of you who don't know, and a conceptualizer of the band. And his idea, his mission statement, as you could use that word, was to make music that made a difference, and that music that rendered a service to humanity. And so for that reason, we chose, you know, to pen lyrically the way we did, and, you know, to fuse many different elements of many different genres of music into our music. And so there's something in there for everybody. And so now we've, you know, toured the world so many times, and to see people knowing the music from, you know, all over the globe, it's quite rewarding.
All right. Well, what I was going to say was some of this stuff you can just Google. Mr. Philip Bailey was one of the original members of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Went on to have still having an incredible solo career, performed all over the world, performed with pretty much everybody on the biggest stages in the world. Music has impacted and essentially, like I said before, been the soundtrack of live. You can listen to an Earth, Wind, and Fire song and know what you were doing at a particular time. So that is Mr. Philip Bailey. So let's talk about, you know, we don't have a whole lot of time, but there's a bunch we can talk about. So when Earth, Wind, and Fire was originally conceived, and again, I think I said, there's probably no question you haven't been asked, but was there a feeling that this was something really special, and was there an intentionality of saying, we're creating something and we're very thoughtful and purposeful about this, or was it more organic?
No, they was thoughtful and purpose and intentional, very intentional. And for that reason, 50 years later, almost 50 years later, that's what really makes it so much more real for us, that the intentionality of making music for people that made a difference, that whole vision came, to the fore, So that's very gratifying for us. We're receiving the Kennedy Honors, first African-American band that's ever received the Kennedy Honors this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
When do you receive that award?
That's in December, and the Portrait Gallery Award is in November. We're receiving that as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, much well-deserved. So again, at that time, it was a sound that developed that included horns, that included vocals, vocal arrangements. Again, things were introduced. There were things out there like that, but it was a very unique sound. In the recording process, who was writing? How did the vocal arrangements come together? And then obviously what I'm going to get to here is, was there always this thing like, this is the guy, Philip Bailey is the person whose voice is going to become a standard?
Well, me and Maurice, actually, we penned a lot of the songs with other collaborators, but he and I are the vocal sound of the band. We just double tracked and triple tracked different stuff, to make that sound. Earth, Wind and Fire, it's just two guys. It's just us.
You did the overdubs with the background?
Just me and him. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would tell you, I didn't know it at the time, but I was wondering, how can the whole band sound just like as good as Philip Bailey does? That's not something that you really publicized at the time.
No, we did.
Okay.
We did. It was pretty well known that me and Maurice were the voice of the band.
Yeah, definitely. At least I knew you two were the main lead voices.
No, we were all the voices.
Yeah, but that's what I'm seeing now.
Right.
That you were all of the voices.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some other folks knew that. You learned something. I learned something today. And I thought I knew everything about you. So that was, again, intentional.
Well, you know what? As we were writing stuff and doing stuff, we tried it on one of the first record where we had, other members in there. It just took too long. And we were just so in sync with each other in terms of how what we were trying to get accomplished vocally, until it was easier for us to just do it ourselves.
Was that typical at that time?
I don't know.
With other performing or large groups, or was that something kind of unique?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure if it, how typical or whatever it was, but it just worked for us.
Worked for you, yeah, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Street Beat. It's me, Tony B. My guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. We're kind of just talking about the start, the origins of Earth, Wind and Fire. There's a lot of ground to cover here.
We got to talk about Love Will Find a Way, my new album.
Yes.
So, because there's a lot of great people who are on there that you would.
That, you know what? We can
in.
talk about anything anytime we want to. Let's talk about that now.
Well, yeah. What brings me to Seattle is, like you said, I'm playing Jazz Alley Days. And the music that I'm playing is from my jazz album that debuted #1. It's on Verve. Yeah. And it's collaborated with the likes of Robert Glasper, Chick Corea.
Wow. Okay.
Chick Corea. Christian McBride.
Oh boy.
Christian Scott, Bilal, Kamasi Washington. Who did I forget? I pretty much got it right. Even will.i.am is on. Helped us out. But yeah, it's a project that was self-funded. We worked on it for about 2.5 years in between my day gig. I call Earth, Wind and Fire my day gig, and my solo stuff my night gig. Because I used to do gigs as a kid. I used to play a after hours gig and play a regular gig. So,
oh really?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I'll be performing the songs from that project with my sextet, and many of those guys who were in the band I was introduced to through Robert Glasper because they actually played with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're out, having a lot of fun, and if you want to hear some great music and experience the evening with us, come on out.
All right. Well, I should mention that too. Jazz Alley, you'll be there all weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And a couple shows Saturday.
Friday
and Saturday. 2 shows, Friday and Saturday. And if you've never been in an incredible intimate setting, I'll ask you about that. What do you think about Jazz Alley? Having performed in this many, I wouldn't put you on the spot, but I've one of the great venues to listen and hear the music. And for me, the opportunity to hear Mr. Bailey at this setting is something you don't want to miss. But
well, I played there with Ramsey.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Mm-hmm, we did that together.
Yeah.
And I very much enjoy doing venues like that because it's so intimate, and you get a chance to conversate with your audience and get that immediate reaction to what you're doing, mm-hmm. and talk to people afterwards and sign CDs and so forth. And it's just it's just a party.
Okay. Again, the album is called Love Will Find a Way. You'll obviously be playing music,
mm-hmm.
Songs from the album, which again debuted at #1.
Yeah.
Congratulations
mm-hmm.
for that too.
Yeah.
You talked about a few of the artists on there, and I'm gonna come back, but you brought something else that made me want to ask you. What about Philip Bailey before Earth, Wind and Fire? Because you said that you used to double up when you were young. So
I grew up in that era where music was on every block. So I had bands from the time I was really young, from 14 up. I had groups and bands and started playing in clubs at a very early age. And so that's the way I, worked as a kid, playing and doing music. And I started playing in clubs before I was old enough to actually be in them. But yeah, we cut our teeth playing in clubs
and where did you grow up?
And everything in Denver.
In Denver,
mm-hmm, Denver, Colorado.
All right. Are you a Broncos fan?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. They're sucking right now, but
hey, well, look at San Francisco. They turned it around. They're undefeated.
They sure did.
Yeah, they turned it around.
They sure did. You guys are gonna have a good one on Monday night. That's gonna be fantastic.
Yes, we are.
I'm a big Russell Wilson fan. We played at his wedding.
Mm-hmm.
In London. I mean, in England.
Is that right?
Yep. And so so that's going to be hard. But actually, I hope that Seattle wins.
Thank you.
I don't have no bones to pick with San Francisco. Now they were playing the Broncos, and I'd be kind of be tough.
Oh, we definitely can use any support we can because we're. But anyway, back to what we're talking about here. At an early age, you started playing.
I've always played, and it's always for me. Music. It was never a time that I discovered music. Music discovered me. My mother said I was singing before I was talking.
Wow.
It was always music. So I thought that everybody heard these, this symphony in their head and the whole thing, and my mother would say, "Where'd you get that song?" I said, "I hear it in my head." And I said, "Don't you hear that?" Because I thought, that everybody had this radio going on in their head, but
there were sounds going on in your head, and you thought, this is just normal.
Just normal.
This is
right.
Like singing.
I just thought it was everyone was okay. Everybody has a radio
in their head.
And
you can hear all the instruments and all the vocals.
Yeah, and you understand it.
Okay.
But that's not the case.
So, do you play instruments?
I do. I grew up playing drums. Started playing drums in the 4th grade through college. I also played bass. I'm studying jazz piano now. And all the Latin percussion stuff I play as well too.
So was there a point in time where maybe you figured out, probably did, the incredible vocals
I'm still figuring that out.
I'm sorry.
I'm still figuring that out. No, you know, it's the vocal instrument is for me. It's I always like to look at it as an exploratory thing. I don't never look at it like I've arrived, you know, because you know you arrive somewhere, you know, you stop your destination. So I always look at it as an evolutionary process, you know. So I evolve. So that's the reason why I do solo projects. This is my 10th solo project. And so that I can get outside the barriers of what we are doing normally, and do other stuff, you know, such as with the, you know, the Phil Collins stuff and the gospel stuff that I've done, won Grammys for that, you know. But yeah, just so that, you know, to keep the love alive and to keep inspired, you know, I like to do other things.
We've been with you for a lot of this journey. Some of us have. Some
and
of them
I'm
may
very
be newer
appreciative.
to it. And so that's something else that I, you know, again, it'd be easier just to Google. I could go on and on about the accolades, but the people moving into the solo career, you know, I don't know whether to call it leaving Earth, Wind and Fire or just moving into. So whatever that.
Just in addition to, you know, I started doing my first solo project. George Duke, the great late George Duke, produced. And then the second one, Phil Collins produced. And the third one, Nile Rodgers produced. You know, so yeah, I've always been in, you know, good company with great producers. And you know, at that point, before I did my first solo record, we had done 6 albums, you know, with Earth, Wind and Fire. So, you know, with Maurice, I definitely had a springboard there.
My guest again is Mr. Philip Bailey. We'll be here the entire weekend at Jazz Alley performing music from his album. Debuted #1, Love
Will Find a Way.
Will Find a Way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this particular process.
Yeah.
What was the creative process for you behind making this record, and the decision to work with? Was it that I want to work with a bunch of different artists? Or?
Well, it was really inspired by the social and economic and political times that we've been going through. And, you know, I just, you know, music is my weapon of choice, you know, and along with my my folks, Tashawn Dawson, my daughter Trinity, and my son Philip, you know, we just, they came to me with a concept because I'd been doing some gigs with Ramsey Lewis. In fact, we played here, but I wanted to find songs. We wanted to find songs that helped people through the turbulent 60s. And so we did some remakes of Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye and Abbey Lincoln, and you know, just songs that would be inspiring, and you know, songs that would speak, you know, to the heart of, you know, where we're at today.
Did you have any trepidation about that, knowing that when you venture into, you know, any type of causal situation, there are people who are going to be happy about it?
Music is always a causal situation. Yeah. You know, it's always been, you know, we speak not only to people through music, but we speak for people in our music and stuff. So, you know, in keeping with what we've always done, you know, I wanted to just find songs that, you know, would speak to the issues, but in a encouraging, positive, redemptive kind of way. Yeah.
That is, that was certainly, at least from where I sit, the legacy of Earth, Wind and Fire that you started. Right. And has that been something that's been consistent with you throughout?
That's just who I am, you know, so we just want to be true to, you know, who I am. You know, some people express themselves in different ways, and that's just how, you know, I express myself, you know, wanting to, you know, be a warrior of light, you know.
You mentioned your children earlier, and your daughter's here. And Trinity, can I just ask you a quick question? Again, you're thanks for coming, by the way.
Thanks for having me.
You work with your dad.
Yes.
And how did that transition for you growing up? Was this something that you envisioned yourself doing? Again, he mentioned that y'all got together and thought and came up with an idea.
I want to say organically, because even before I was necessarily being paid to work with him, I was I'm just like a natural organizer. I would, organize the studio and, just organize the closets and things of that sort. And my background is in fashion merchandising. So I did that for a little while, probably like 10 years, and then came on board with him as his assistant and just working with the management team to, I won't say get him further because he is who he is, but just to get into the avenues of, like the jazz and do other projects, and to also grow within the industry, just learn as much as I can.
How is it working, within a familial situation, in a business situation, where those two things are obviously intrinsically intermingled? You're both.
Yeah. It has its challenges, but then it also has its perks. There's times where there may be times where I feel that I'm not taking serious because of I'm also the daughter, you know what I'm saying? And you always have that father-daughter aspect of, I'm the teacher and things of that sort. But then there's also those times where I'm like, hey, Dad, do you think I can pick up another pair of shoes? And he's like, yeah, go ahead and pick up those shoes. So, it has its plus and minuses. And, you have to kind of, I think we're good with just kind of talking things out. Like we always are, we don't always have to agree, but we can find a middle ground to be like, okay, this is how you feel, this is how I feel, but this is what's going to be done, and let's just move forward.
Yeah, at this point, though, it's very important to say that, in this industry and in life, you need people that you can trust and that that have your very best interest at heart, not for any selfish reasons, but purely, have your best interest in heart. And in this, I guess I would say in this industry, this is the only industry that I've been in, but Trinity looks out after me and our interest, and it's important to have that.
I'm not going to gloss over that. Because you have been in this industry for decades. You have
almost 50 years.
You've been again in there's in so many different ways from so many different people to be involved in an industry that is driven by money and greed. And I'm not talking about, it is what it is.
Right.
And so there are a lot of skill sets that people need to have, and a lot of things that people need to have around them. But if I'm not mistaken, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, I think that you just said the most important thing is having people around, more important than money, more important than the right hookup.
Almost definitely, because this is something that you can't buy. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have someone that you actually trust, you're in a world, you could be in a world of trouble. You are in a world of trouble if you don't have anybody you can trust, So I have a lot of power people around me. Obviously, we've made some of the right decisions in choosing folks that we've chosen to look out after our careers. But I make the choice to have my daughter aboard, because I trust her. And you can't see I can't see everything. Someone has to be able to see and understand things, see it from a different perspective, and she does call me, to and say, Dad, if I'm seeing something wrong, she can tell me that, she's probably, one of the, few people that can tell me exactly, okay, yeah, you're seeing this one wrong. You gotta look at this in a different way.
Well, what piece of business advice would you have for someone if you were going to give, like you just gave that critical piece of information, to navigate a career, to reach the goals that everybody's not going to get that opportunity, but that you've had a chance to really experience. What is the piece of business advice that you would share for anyone out there?
Well, first of all, try not to work with people on your own level. Try to work with people that are where you going, or that are where you want to go. If you don't respect people for their achievements and stuff, then it's the likelihood of you going very far is kind of slim. So I've always tried to surround myself with people of excellence. And people of excellence many times are not talking about it, they're doing it.
My guest again, Mr. Philip Bailey. We're going to be taking a short break here, and then we'll be back for another half an hour, and maybe we'll talk Trinity again too. You're listening to Street Beat. It's me, your host, Tony B, and we'll be back right after this break.
Oh, yes, it's ladies' night.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not trying out new wigs and cocktail dresses, I'm listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world.
On RainierAvenueRadio.world, look for the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show. I'm Dennis Weaver, your good food guide and host, helping you to feel good and look good, and who wouldn't want some of that? All that and more from the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on RainierAvenueRadio.world. Stories, songs, and guests. Begin living the organic good food life for the rest of your life. This may be the best of your life. Always up, baby, to your help.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Hello, this is John Yasutaki, your host for Seattle Here Now on RainierAvenueRadio.world. I will be bringing subjects and guests in to talk about things that impact you in our community. Are you concerned? Do you care? Let's talk about it. Please tune in. RainierAvenueRadio.world for the show Seattle Here Now.
Hello, friendly neighborhood agitators and listeners. This is your most prodigious political talk show host, Cliff Cawthon. Tune in every other week to listen to Politics Off the Cuff on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Politics Off the Cuff, we bring you interviews, panels, commentary, and analysis, especially from people who are fighting for progress from bottom up, from the grassroots, in your communities, in your neighborhood, on your block, in your city, from local to global. Join us every other week for Politics Off the Cuff here on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hello, this is Sage Prince. Are you considering making lifestyle changes, eating a healthier diet, but you're not quite sure where to start? Well, I can help. Just My Opinion, a music program centered in R&B and hip-hop, but delivered in an organic, free-range music mix, providing you a nutrient-rich listening environment that can improve your mood and overall sense of well-being. So start your healthy lifestyle with healthier listening. Check out Just My Opinion with Sage Prince here on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
This is Karen Z with RainierAvenueRadio.world, and we want to hear from you. Our goal is to amplify and share the diverse voices of Southeast Seattle residents. Do you know of an engaged community member who should be featured in a community spotlight? Tell us about them. Do you know of an upcoming family-friendly, educational, or cultural event coming up? Tell us about it. If you have news to share, contact us by emailing RainierAvenueRadio.world@gmail.com. Once again, please email us at RainierAvenueRadio.world@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Street Beat. It's me, your host, Tony B. My guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. Again, I can go over and over all the accolades, and trust me, for all of you out there, I did man crush on him before the show started. Get that out of the way. But we're actually having a conversation. We were off there, and we talked about some things beforehand that engage and involve community. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you, we have a city across the water named Bremerton.
Okay.
And it is actually where Quincy Jones started.
All right.
Before he came to Seattle.
Right.
And so this is the story. He was about 10, and a couple of his friends and him broke into a house, and he saw a piano. And for the first time, played a piano. Changed his entire life. Ended up moving to Seattle. So in Bremerton, which this is really cool, we've been talking off a little bit about gentrification and some other things in community. Bremerton was a very blighted community. For about 30 years, the downtown was just nothing. It had moved out because there was a mall. Quincy Jones gave his approval, and a group of investors got together. And so this is not new information. You can Google this as well. There's going to be a new 4 blocks of downtown are going to be turned into called the Quincy Square Project. There's going to be a piano on 4th Avenue. Not a piano, it's the street, but you'll be able to see it from Google Maps, and the street will look like a piano. Yeah. Not that I think my point for saying that was we were talking about the power of radio.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And so that led to our relationship as Rainier Avenue Radio with the Quincy Jones Square Project.
That's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah. Now back to you. And Quincy's one of our iconic.
Oh, most definitely.
Did you have?
Oh yeah.
Many interactions? Did you?
For sure. I've worked with him. He's called me to come and do things for with them and stuff. So yeah, I mean Q is, he's there ain't but one.
Yeah. So when you call him Q, it's because you know him as Q.
Yeah.
Again, my guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. He's in town through the weekend, 2 shows on Friday and Saturday at Jazz Alley. And let's go back to kind of where we were talking about the current album that you have.
Right.
How do you go about finding musicians? Because again, it seems like you have access to anyone that you want to. Or are there a group of folks who you just played with, that you practice with, that you rehearse with?
Well, it was interesting because I was listening a lot to the stuff that Robert Glasper was producing and to his records and the body of people that he's been, working with. And it was clear that he really had become the new face of jazz. And because he's able to interpret it for today, but he's able to play it the way it was, so the level of respect that everyone has for him is real. It's very real. So when he agreed to work on the project, and of course the great Chick Corea, when he agreed to work on the project, and the fantastic great Christian McBride, you could stop there, So I was very humble.
I'm a fan of all of them.
Oh,
I'm a really
too.
big Christian McBride fan.
Oh, me too. Me too. So yeah, so it was like one thing led to the other, and from working with those guys, the spinoffs became, Christian Scott, Kamasi Washington, who I actually knew and didn't know it. His father and I went to the same church in Los Angeles and played in the church band. And so Kamasi is about the Trinity's age and stuff. So they were they were in the same circles at the church and stuff. But I didn't know that until after I reacquainted myself with Kamasi. But yeah, in answer to your question, man, this is the perks that I have in being who I am. It's it's very humbling and very gratifying that these great musicians would come alongside of me and work on the project. And it's like, it's like fresh adrenaline, it's fresh life, artistic life, working with those people, you can ride for a while, because, you've mixed it up with some of the greatest minds, some of the greatest musicians, some of the greatest artists that will ever live, so, that becomes part of your DNA too.
Yeah. What do you think about your lived experience? Do you think about it, or you're just on the journey? But again, what you were just talking about is an amazing lived experience.
Right. Well, I don't camp there. I'm more in the process of, being in the moment, and going forward, but I am very aware that a boy from Denver, Colorado, I came up, who's getting ready to receive the Kennedy honors, in a few months, and all these great iconic musicians who I once listened to on the radio are coming alongside of me and working on my project. Yeah, it's I would have to be it would be untrue if I didn't look at that and know that that's a very special thing. And so it says something about what they think about the body of work that that I've done in in my career and who I am as a musician and as a person.
You're listening to RainierAvenueRadio.world Street Beat, hosted by me, Tony B. My guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. He will be performing tonight, Friday, 2 shows, Saturday, 2 shows, and Sunday at Dimitriou's Jazz Alley, which is a wonderful partner of ours as well. And just excited to have you here in the studio physically with us on Rainier Avenue in Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is a lot of fun. This is great.
So Trinity, I'm going to bring you back on for a second. Yeah, I want to bring you back on for this is the second part, so you got to be on both.
Okay.
Both parts of the show.
If I can add, just what are we still on air right now? Okay. Yeah, I see that poster right there. Kendrick Scott. He was also on the project. He played.
What are you looking at?
The jazz festival.
Get a shot of that poster.
Yeah, he played on a lot of our tracks too.
Yeah, with Robert Glasper, right?
With Robert.
Yeah, it's like like working with Robert. It took me a minute to realize that Kendrick was actually playing the drums. It's like, dude, because he's so unassuming, and talented as can be, and never once is he like, I'm Kendrick Scott. It's like I had to that was Kendrick Scott.
Yeah.
So that moves into a nice segue. So for you, what has this experience in the music industry been like from your perspective? Again, you may, from a couple of different perspectives, being a woman, being Black, and again, being his daughter. How do those things factor into your perception of how the music industry has been for you and your thoughts about this industry?
I guess I would say for me, it's been really understanding and how to play my part, and kind of staying in my lane and being a contributor and not getting caught up in titles. It's been a challenge. There's been times where I'm like, I want to, why can't I do this? Or, those things are taking on different responsibilities that I may not think are mine or may think are mine. But at the end of the day, it's about the team and getting to point A to point B. And so when you stay focused on that, where you're all just trying to get to that place together, then it helps me to refocus and to say, I just want to be a contributor, the greatest contributor to the team as possible to get the objectives done, you know? So that's how I have, I think that's how I have evolved into certain things. And just to know that it's not about the title, it's just about you just coming to bring your A game when you can, you know, and being a contributor to the team.
Well said. Well said. You have any commentary on that? As father, or you must feel to some extent, even now, every time you hear, you're proud.
Oh, definitely. My son, one of my sons actually performs with us, Earth, Wind and Fire. He's been there for, time flies now, 10 years or so.
About 9 or 10, yeah.
10 years. It's been, yeah. He graduated from Berklee School of Music and worked and played there for, he was there 9 years, right? In Boston before he started performing for us. And he's written and co-produced several things that we've done. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, very gratifying working, you know, with your family, because they get a chance to see, you know, the reason why you were never home. You know, now they're on the bus too.
Again, my guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. So everybody who is in this community and probably everywhere would probably be mad if I did not ask this question. And it's about the song Reasons.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say something about Easy Lover.
But see, it could be,
right.
I guess it depends which generation.
Okay.
Which generation you're talking about.
Right. So what about Reasons?
What the song at that time was, again, the vocal was so remarkable, the passion that was within the song, the way people took ownership to you, the song, the meaning, the space, you know, just so let's talk about that song, the recording of it, eventual other people hearing it, and how you feel about it now.
Well, you know, it's interesting when people come and say, well, we played that song at our wedding, because I go, did you listen to the lyrics? You know, because like it's not a wedding song, you know, definitely not, you know. So it's interesting that, you know, because the song is very, you know, romantic or sensual, you know, that you know, a lot of people relate to it in that way, but the song lyrically is very clear. It's saying, you know, our reasons had no pride, they were a lie, and your love was left aside. I mean, that's pretty clear.
But the way you say
you know, that
made it okay.
I guess so, you know, but that's pretty cute.
Never mind the reasons.
Okay,
these are the reasons.
But you know what? I finally got something. Just here. This is an aha moment. If you played Reasons for her and she said okay anyway, at least you weren't lying. That's it. No, really, seriously, huh? You said, dude, I played Reasons. You said okay, so we're straight.
There you go, Mr. Now we know something about Reasons that we didn't know before, whatever you thought about.
That's right. So we are straight.
Again, my guest is Mr. Philip Bailey, performing tonight at Jazz Alley. Performing live, do you still get the same?
Oh man, of course. It's what do you say? It's very life-giving to perform. You know, to be able to communicate, you know, with your music. It's something that you're chosen to do, you're blessed to do, and it's something that you can't see yourself not doing. You know, you can't conceive of yourself not being able to do that. That's the reason why musicians that lose their instrument, it's like every musician, every artist, you just don't even want to conceive of that idea, because you would almost rather lose a limb than to lose your ability to do that.
And with the performance, what are some things that you can say? This is what I still, I don't know, continue to learn, or that makes it different. That makes it, or is it at a point where you know this is something that you just you do?
Oh no, man! It's like flying. And though you can fly, every exploration is different. Whether you're flying a long distance or just going across the street. You know what I mean? It's like still, you're still flying. There's still that element. And making music is like that. It's you're getting caught up in the magic of it. You're part of the magic of what's happening. And that's the reason why that's the reason why it's so special, when you hear musicians play, because it is especially musicians who are really tuned and really skilled, because there is actual magic going on right there that will never happen again. It will, even if they try, even if they played that same song right after that, that moment won't happen again. Those sound waves, those harmonies, that idea won't never happen again. So it's magical. And people love to, they don't have to get into it like I just said it. They don't have to understand that, but they can participate in it just by being there.
Again, my guest is Mr. Philip Bailey. I want to again talk about the album, and working with Robert Glasper, and selecting the songs. What was that process like for you? Did you create multiple songs? Did you already have an idea about what you wanted to do?
Yeah, we had a template of songs that we wanted to do, and we had designed it so that certain producers would produce certain songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then after working with Robert, the project took on a different hue, and we began to we cut some things over, or we left some things out, because it was clear that the colors that he was bringing to the project was where we wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. And so this gets into, you've again watched the music industry go through an incredible shift, from record companies to what we are now. And you mentioned earlier, and did you say self-funded?
Right. See, that's interesting, because with you understand with what you're doing.
So if you're just tuning in right now, earlier in the show, Mr. Bailey's album, he mentioned that it was self-funded, and I kind of went by that at the time.
Right. When you want to, keep your own paradigm, or you have to trust yourself to be able to make it happen. Because in today's society, you can't wait for someone to say, "Oh, I believe in you, and I'm going to fund this or that." You can't make a record. You can't make the kind of record that that we made overnight, or in a couple weekends, or and for little or no money and stuff. Time. So it was never on my radar to go to a record company and say, pitch the idea and say you want to pay for it.
Didn't even think about it.
No.
Didn't cross your mind?
No. Because I've made great records in my career before and I know what it takes. And I knew nobody was going to support that. And I didn't want anybody in my ear or in my grill, you know, like having to answer to anybody about anything.
This is my Kool-Aid.
You know, yeah, we just want to make, you know, we want to see our vision come true. And it was very rewarding that once we got it done, mixed, finished, you know, playing it for different people, we would get comments that we were hoping that we would get. Verve understood the record, and, you know, we ended up partnering with them for distribution and sales.
Okay. Is this the first album that you've done like that? Or how has the experience been? It sounds like it's been rewarding. I mean, it debuted at #1 on the jazz charts, but as a whole package, because there's so much involved. And again, when you say self-funded, you're not, you know, the record label is not there to do a whole bunch of stuff for you that they have done for you in the past.
Well, you know what? And they're not there like that anymore. Their record companies are not there like that anymore. You know, like we came up in a day where everything was under one roof, you know, A&R and artists and development and everything, you know, that you could think of was in one roof. You just go to different floors. That doesn't exist anymore, you know. So you have to be your own A&R. We have our own team. We have to, you know, you have to be your own A&R. You have to be your own, you know, art directors and all that kind of stuff. It has to happen from you.
When did you decide this is what I want? And what made you make that decision? Was it just, you know, was it something you came to, or was it?
we never thought about it in any other way.
Yeah.
Because those days are gone. You know, like, you know, that's not an option. It wasn't like, you know, if you want to do something nowadays, you could do it. You just have to go do what you want to do. I always tell people, you know, like, the only reason why you're not doing what you want to do is because you don't want to do it bad enough.
Another pearl of wisdom.
He told me that last week.
You know, because you're doing exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, no matter what you say, you know, you are doing exactly what you want to do, you know, or else you'd be doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. And if you're doing something else, then that's why you're not doing what you want to do.
Exactly. Well, no, then that's why you're not doing what you say you want to do.
You want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And you may not want to do it bad enough.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to do it bad enough.
All right.
You know, so it's the telltale sign that, okay, you know what? Quit saying that, because you really don't want to do that, or else you'd be doing that.
Yeah.
So I want to make this record with some iconic people, and our team came together. We devised a plan and we worked our plan.
Okay. Again, the album is called Love Will Find a Way.
Love Will Find a Way.
Debuted #1 on the jazz charts. I guess you can get it on all the various platforms that are out there now.
Yep, sure can.
As you move into, this is kind of off topic here, but I just got to ask you something that's kind of off topic. As you move into the holiday season, does that, you know, traveling and family and having family, what do you think about as we're moving into the holiday season? And, you know, will you be traveling and how you mix family in that? And because it's, you know, again, it sounds like y'all have a close-knit family.
Yeah. Well, I'm an unabashed Jesus man. So, you know, you got to say it nowadays. You know, you got to go, oh, okay, who is it? You know, like, I'm a Jesus man. You know, so I love, you know, I love, you know, Christmas and the holiday season, because, you know, like, those of us who do believe, you know, we can go in, you know, and have a great time, you know, in our faith and in our family, you know, in the holidays and stuff. So, you know, yeah, I always look forward to it. And like I said, I have 7 and 7. I wanted to say really quick that we have a foundation called Music is Unity. And Music is Unity, we've been in existence over 10 years now, and we finance organizations that are helping foster youth who are aging out of the system. They're, and you know, they call them emancipated foster care youth. I don't understand why that, but and so a portion of our proceeds, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and my proceeds, go to Music is Unity, and then we fund organizations that are helping people on the daily. The reason why that is so important to me is because I have 7 children and 7 grandchildren. I can't perceive of any of them having to navigate through life without any support, no one to turn to, and no one to go to for support. These folks find themselves where they are by no fault of their own. You can find out more about the foundation by going to musicisunity.org and see what we're doing and become more involved.
That's a phenomenon. I'm just going to, just for you, if you're in the foster care system, which itself can be a number of different things, at a certain age, as you call it, aging out,
right?
Then you lose all those supports and safety nets. It's not a question of have you been prepared,
That's
are
right.
you prepared?
That's right.
To move forward. You hit a certain
That's
age,
right.
and you lose that entire support system.
That's right.
And so Music is
Unity
is your nonprofit.
Is my foundation. And you can go to musicisunity.org and see what we're doing and become involved and help some of these folks who very much need help at that point in their life.
You kind of bridge that that gap of coming out of that, so that there's some sort of
we create funds and then we
give them to
fund
the institutions,
organizations who are helping them on the daily with what they need.
Awesome. Music is Unity. How do folks donate to that?
Well, you could go to musicisunity.org and you can find out more, and become more involved.
All right. Well, we got to give that a plug too. We're just about out of time. I appreciate you joining me so much.
Thank you for having me. Me and Trinity have definitely enjoyed this, and I'm excited about what you're doing, and it starts some light bulbs going, you know.
Well, thank you again tonight, Mr. Philip Bailey, Jazz Alley, Thursday tonight. Friday and Saturday, 2 shows, and again Sunday. That's it. That's about all the time I have. That's going to do it for the kid. It's me, Tony B, your host of Street Beat, saying, remember, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're probably right. I'm out. Peace.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not trying out new wigs and cocktail dresses, I'm listening to